Oh boy. The moment of the shooting. Okay, so we're gonna, press every statement here. So basically, he's just describing his fake account of, seeing, Gina shoot Mr. Winterbank. Mr. Winterbank emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and flew at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in all my life. Yeah, we were just your regular mild-mannered burglars, that's all. We don't like violence. There's a pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. I was wrong. I was trying to help me little bruv, but the old geezer took me over the bloomin' counter. So I pulled me gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you setting on the poor defenseless pawnbroker together, shame on you. Oh, sorry, Gov. When Winterbank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. You mean that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the three men were brawling. It was at exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet went on to strike the calendar in the wall behind you. So it would appear. When I looked at my arm, I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to the doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. Didn't imagine it would be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Winterbank intend to shoot you, do you think? Well now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled the gun on him, he tried to shove me out the way. And then he scuppered through that door out back. At which point, what did you do? Pursue the man, but he shut himself in this room and he looked through the people. You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him to the back of the shop. What about this people in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom's door is a solid job, made out of stout wood. There's a small opening in it, about head height, that lets you see what's what in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. What about your burgling brothers? Did you see what went on to these people as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these two buffoons were even aware of the people's existence. So the Skulking Brothers were there, but they didn't see the killing of Mr. Winterbank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and the young girl standing there. The defendant. Yes, though neither of them noticed I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed straight at the man. And then, what did you see next? Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Winterbank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Raiden, that bullet was fired at you. Ah, but no. It wasn't the broker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. Yes, the bullet from the Winterbank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulking's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely. A third gun. The broker's gun was not the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have her own gun with her at the time. But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then, all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. A chilling image, I must say. Saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. All over her. Yes, through the people, I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains aren't visible now. What with the coat being such a dark colour. But I assure you, that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it's sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windenbeck's blood, is it? No, that's right. Mr. Milverton's blood from when McGilda stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If only they accept her as chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately, we can't use it as evidence to support our case. Bother. Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room? That's right. After the burqa fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where, exactly? In the direction of the storeroom door, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side of the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place. So it was you, in fact, who took the third gun from the scene of the crime. Yes, it was yours truly. I left it clear up to my lackeys and left. Clear up? We made a bit of mess around the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute told us to tidy up. He thinks he's a bloomin' mum sometimes. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. Ugh. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull at a gate, aren't you? Oh! What's happening with them? Gentlemen. Something wrong, Sunshine? That would be my line. You do realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin? Blimey, this dude's a bit of a hooligan, ain't he? What was going on just now? You saw him. He grabbed my whistle. Why the blazes, he said. Didn't you mention the third gun when you got down at the station? Why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. Or that flaming people in the door. Sorry about that. I can be prone to lose my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? Oh, blimey. You see the way he's looking at me? I'm telling you, the D giving you the willies. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite worked up as that. He normally wouldn't grab someone. No, that wasn't like Grexy at all. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. Yeah, that was really weird. My lord. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the tests that were ordered earlier, my lord. Ah, the blood on the accused's overcoat. Thank you, officer. Very well, the cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel. No, my lord. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoat of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were the result of splattering from following a gunshot wound. End of report. Goodness me. See, what did I tell you? No, the blood on that coat is not Mr. Winterbank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Magnus McGilded. Just before his coat was deposited at Windibanks, McGilda had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood on that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case. Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago, in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for McGilda's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer. Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have earned for yourself in this country.
Yeah, but that was... I call it a bloody disgrace. Treachery, that's what it is.
How to determine whether the blood on that coat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't help answer that problem pop out. It can't be done. But... We use Mr. Shum's specially formulated chemical.
Mr. Shum's a detective, not a chemist.
Would you put such faith in the chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer?
I had that Furoshiki to starving boy, and he ran away crying. Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. No weight at all.
How could you say that? Victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth, from start to finish.
How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accused's overcoat was spattered with the blood of the victim. The only way Mr. Graydon could have possibly known that fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid and the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth.
My lord.
Been a long battle, this one, but this old war horse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman? As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision. Ready, men? All for one now. Sir.
Yuzai!
Yuzai!
Yuzai! Yuzai!
Oh no.
Yuzai!
Yuzai!
Oh dear.
Well, it would appear the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached a unanimous verdict. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Here's to any attempt you may make at unpicking the juror's decision being equally successful.
Ugh. I don't believe it. After I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast?
How very distressing to be held in such low esteem. I have no idea who's talking. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer? You've delivered the report now, and will be all, thank you.
Oh, is it somebody? Oh, I think I know who it is.
It occurs to me with some irregularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind.
I know that voice. Am I going mad? Ah! Mr. Sholmes!
What is the meaning of this?
Oh my goodness.
Order! 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 What business do you have here, detective? The last I heard you were recuperating in hospital. As well as I would be, had I not been set upon an errand. What errand?
Harley, it's only you. You're awake at last.
Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, would you, if you will, humour me? In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us the time? What say to you this, Lord Van Zieks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time. Having spent so long already. Exactly, haven't spent so long already. We don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Very well then, Counsel, you have 5 minutes. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you alright now? Alright, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I've asked the judge for 5 minutes. Oh no. But I fear that even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me if I should pass out. Let's make this discussion as short as possible.
Holy, this place is full of idiots. None of them can see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is.
Ah well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal by the scientific community. An oversight on my part. Right, modesty? Surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow.
What's that? A lavender Furoshiki wrapping?
A leaving present from Miss Susato.
From Miss Susato?
If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. Sorry for messing that up. I don't understand. Miss Susato foresaw today's events, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means of both devious and unhand, and that you, Miss Naruto, fighting fairly as you all won't do, would find yourself in considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. Those were her dear lady's instructions. A leaving present from Susato's son. Whatever could it be? What is this?
Oh, it's the machine I made.
The cat door maker.
Look, I use this. It's my latest invention.
What is that?
I call it the cat flapomat. I can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like wagging in seconds. What's Susie up to?
Miss Susato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant.
What? Didn't she say something like that?
You really are the best judicial assistant in the world.
Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say, I've been a complete failure.
Whatever she mean by that, Mr. Sholmes. That night, when you left Winterbanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic then. Susato-san used this cat flapomat that night, but why? The cat flapomat, a compact machine for the rapid creation of small flaps in larger doors to allow cats to come and go freely. How the heck are we going to use that? I'm curious. Your 5 minutes is over. Okay, before we move on, let's take a look at the cat flapomat really quick. Interesting. Anything special to look at? Ew, those vicious teeth look like they rip almost through anything.
They're good, aren't they? They're made of a special alloy I developed just for this job. The cutter rotates 10 times per second so it can get through any kind of door in no time at all.
And what are the two parts at the top there?
Ah, those are for attaching the hinges to the section of the door that gets cut out.
Right, of course.
Nothing can match this machine for power. It can make mincemeat of even the toughest of doors.
Sounds so charming and friendly when you say that, what it's for, but feels like the reality of the cat flapomat is that's just a grim weapon of door destruction.
Waga is so adorable, there's nothing I wouldn't do for him, even developing deadly weapons.
Interesting. Okay, so there's nothing else to that.
But something about there being a door flap. We're out of time already? I'm grateful to you for affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. Need to be careful. If I make the wrong move, the trial will end badly. My lord, the defense requests. Oh, what do we do? Further cross-examination? We don't need to do that, right? Summation examination? No, we need further cross-examination. Because obviously he's lying, so we need to catch a lie for what he's saying. Further cross-examination. The jurors have spoken. Protocol indicates that you may not cross-examine a new witness now. The defense is not asking for the cross-examination of a new witness. Rather to continue with one of an existing witness. What? It would appear that a rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord. Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel. No, my lord. So nobody can say anything then. Everino has to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. The court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. I would remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur that the defense is entirely within its right to request the continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity, including the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness's testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of your argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If following that, the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to adjudication. Is that clear, counsels? We will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence. Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. Oh no, he's gonna fall over. Ah! I leave this in your capable hands. Mr. Sholmes! He just got out of surgery, so he's like half dead. Poor man. Stand so insouciantly before the court in state of such high fever. The man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is secretly sounding in one of the antechambers. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel. Are you prepared? Yes. One statement. One piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down. Or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance as Susato-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Okay. So we have one last chance. We just, no more pressing, and then we just have to pick one statement and present our evidence, right? While the reference are jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance of the shop. When Winnie Bank threw Nash over the counter, I felt a sharp pain in my arm. Let's take a look at the map here. So we had to have walked over to see. See the man, but he shot himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the people in the door, though. Okay, so this is one weird thing that I did notice. So here, you can't see any door, right? Like, it's not there, right? But afterwards, it's there. Isn't that strange? Because you can clearly see it in the 1:30 a.m. picture. He was in the black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that rich girl. Then she tossed a gun out of the people, so I picked it up and made my escape. So I have to pick the right statement here, I guess. Okay, so I'm sure we're supposed to present the cat Flap-O-Mat at some point. So I'm not sure if it's totally at this moment. See if this is the same thing, right? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so we'll save here, and then I'll just take a guess. Because I'm not entirely sure, what we're supposed to do here. See it through the people door. What on earth is that eccentric contraption, Council?
Ooh, it's my cat Flap-O-Mat, my lord. It makes a way for the cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of. Make a new little door in the middle of it.
That's right, my lord. This is a device for creating a so-called cat flaps. Small doors for doors for cats come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves.
What?
That cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't to start with. There are no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Whilst being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I failed to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function another way, then. This contraption is able to create a people in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say? 2 nights ago. We arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Winnebeck had taken place. That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant did what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say?
Of course there was a peephole in the door.
I said as much in my testimony. How else could I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake?
Yes, how could you?
What?
Counsel, kindly say what you mean. Alright, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door. And until such time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through.
What? No!
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was? Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene, whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. This is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with? Explain yourself, counsel. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed to the people in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident, the people did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you've claimed to see. Ugh. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Ugh. Order! 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 Is there any credence in this revelation? None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize. Exactly! This is some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through a solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it to be very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. I had a feeling you'd say that. What? Waggy, cooey, time for dinner. Well? Oh, young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling at the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windbanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. No, but it's easy. What? The cat flaps in my cat flapper creates are all of a fixed size. And the dimension of the peephole at the Windbanks and are an exact match. Ah! Hehe, old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant had already left the country for your Eastern Island home. Well, yes, that's true. And you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of argument, let us assume the people has dimensions that are perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the people cut? The prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zieks? It's very simple, my lord. The defense argues that the people was created after the incident using this device. Now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There is no proof. And for as long as the defense remains unable to prove when the people was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zieks. Well, counsel?
Don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through.
I don't know if I can do this, but I know one thing. Susato-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Very well, the counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the people in the door of the Windbank storeroom was created after the event and not before. We'll have these, exactly. What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again. My judicial assistant, Miss Susato Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel. This print, in the short moments after the defendant entered the premises. Agreed. It also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defense's broker. But more to the point. It pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This is really quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description. Ugh. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't have possibly witnessed the crime as you claim to have done. Because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony is a catalogue of lies. Order, order, order! I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony is entirely fallacious. Fallacious. That's not the only thing we know now beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene. But more importantly... Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Zieks. The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene, it's true. And I was shot in the arm, that's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I'm the victim here. Oh, please, no. I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Still, he can't woman his way out of it now. Iris? You know what they say. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? As Hurley always says. One lie begets another. No, wait. That might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What? This is provocative talk, counsel. Would you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. I was so right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witness's statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had the knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about. Namely, the third gun, right? Because it never could have come out. And then there would be no instances of it. Unless he had the third gun, right? He would have not... Would he not have known the bloodstains on the coat either? Let me think about this. Because, Mr. Graydon was shot, and then Sholmes was shot. Mr. Winterbank was shot before that. So if his testimony was true, which one of the following could he not have known about if there was no people? The bloodstains on the coat. It must have been the third gun then. I think that's the most, like, the one that makes the most sense. The third gun. Do you have any idea what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? Absolutely. I've been studying English hard since I was a child. Oh no, I think we're wrong. You failed to catch my meaning. The witness had admitted to removing the gun in question from the scene himself. Oh. Whoops. Precisely who else but this man could have known of a third gun's existence? Ah. Whoops.
Keep at it, Bruno. Chin up.
After the lengths Sister-san went into order to leave that last piece of evidence with me. In fact, I need to pursue the implications of that further. Then it might all become clear. There's still light in those dark eyes I see. Will it do you any good, I wonder? This provocative talk, counsel. Would you enlighten the court? Was it the people then? Because I guess maybe he wouldn't have known about that because it happened after he left, right? When when Susato made it? Because that's after we got there. The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the people in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously Has the cat caught your tongue, witness? The people in the door was made after the incident occurred. Once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the 2 burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police has been at Windibanks constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full with pawn articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have the officers working round the clock, in shifts, so we can get through it all. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people in the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable. And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place to the people in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zeeks? Speak, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you, permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Why is he so fishy? It's so suspicious. Of course, sir. Mr. Graydon. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that people. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else. Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, the words you have uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes, the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's clearly only one other person that it could be. Who was the person in question, Counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? It must be... Holy frickin' must be Gregson. Right? Because there was only us. So, like, Ryunosuke, Iris... No, Iris wasn't there, but Susato, Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes obviously went to the hospital. The only other people there were police. The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me? Who had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider a fact. We have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the past few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparation for his testimony were made with great urgency during our 1 hour-long recess. While the police executed the subpoena brought the man here from the communications station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea, no inkling, that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the people. It's only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. They would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court this was while this trial was in progress that he received this information, so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a blooming outrage. Why would I be giving away details of our investigation to this fella, eh?
I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view in the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't have possibly occurred.
Ew, I just remembered something, Runo.
What is it, Iris?
It was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying.
Oh yes, now you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilda's music box from the crime scene. That's it! It was during that testimony! Yeah, when they were whispering to each other. I remember finding it strange at the time. Miss Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag, you're making all this up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, counsel?
I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. I'm sure I need not to remind the inspector that, if found to be true, striking a deal with any kind of witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is Nipponese's student's specialty. I don't do that. But with the stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Is what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of this witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal. Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon. Then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for, and that must be it.
Runo, do you think it could be?
Yes. It's a missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, counsel. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness? It has to be the freaking music box, right? I mean, the music box disc. Inspector Gregson. Besides this murder, isn't it true that you've been working on another very important case?
What? What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top-secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice.
How in the bleeding Nor did...
We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposited at Windibanks by Magnus McGilden. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very unlikely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilden's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon, in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case.
You little... Oh! Order! Order! Order!
On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windibanks, you said this. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilden's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
No, don't! Don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine!
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilden has to be taken in as evidence now. Sunlord already knew at the time. Isn't that right? That Magnus McGilden was involved in the stealing of government secrets.
My orders were Recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry. And do it on the QT. Strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't that sure of it myself. I realized it was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man in giving a false testimony. There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the people. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men.
Oh, no!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here, in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
What? What's that supposed to mean, eh?
As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly, he will not have accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No. He would insist on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand.
Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has? The second disc actually on his person?
The defense demands that the inspector is searched at once.
Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before, and Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since.
My lord, please, order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Well, Inspector? Dang, dude. This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if it'll put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, I'll happily submit to a body search.
What? He's going to agree to it?
I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You've made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end. And my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
That sounds serious.
Indeed. To have a visiting student make such a defamatory remark about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runo because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here.
Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time.
Yes, my lord.
You still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects.
Oh, freaking I don't know what to do. He submitted it to it, right? So that means it's not on him? Should we search someone else, though? Who can we search? Not the Skulkin brothers, right? I mean, maybe we could search the Skulkin brothers. Could he have given it to them? That wouldn't make any sense though, right? I mean, but why were they, like, together though? That part was always weird. Oh man, I don't know. I'm so nervous. I'm gonna save. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna... Hopefully this is not reverse psychology, but I'm gonna search someone else. Yes, the defense formally demands the search to be... Oops. Search to be conducted.
Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nipponese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good.
Fair enough, I've got nothing to hide.
Very well then. Bailey, conduct a The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me.
No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else.
What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it at last, have you, Sunshine? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational.
Be quiet, all of you.
Be quiet, all of you. Bruno's doing what you're told him to do, having the curse of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense's counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words.
You what? Now don't be hasty, my lord.
If I'm not mistaken about the things I've seen in the court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who has that disc in the moment. There's only one person it can be. Counsel, of whom do you request this search now? There's only one person who has the disc. Only one person who has the disc. So wouldn't it be Ashley Graydon? It must be one of the Skulkin brothers, right? Could it be Neil Strongheart? He wasn't here at any point in the trial though, right? Okay, so it must have been only between people that he was standing next to, because he's been here this entire time, right? Oh my gosh, I just have to guess, I guess. Oh my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Well, I never. Eh, blimey. Me? Him?
Very well then, Bailey. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of this personal effects.
Please, my lord.
Inspector?
Scotland Yard, has objected to this search.
Unfortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
Eh, blimey.
Yep.
Eh? Blimey. In my courtroom?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
But Lord Van Zeeks.
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial. Bailiff, carry out the search.
Hold on a minute. I didn't know nothing. No, nothing about no disc. Cut it out. Ah. Yeah, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this.
Oh, it was the right person. Oh my gosh.
Good lord, that's...
Another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about it. Nothing.
That is the second music box disc left behind Magnus Misgilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Order!
Mr. Skulkin, what do you have to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. I mean, just Gordon Fleming Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no? Without question, my lord. Then, for pity's sake,
Why on earth was this man in possession of the disc that the inspector traded for information? Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment. I don't recall. What's unusual behavior? Ugh. It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was there by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? Admit to nothing of the sort? Oh, and he was shaking him. Ah, yes, I remember that. While Mr. Graydon answered my questions, the inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash Skulkin by his coat and was shaking him violently. He didn't all. Thought me noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd never been born as brother I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blazes didn't you mention the third gun when you got down at the station? That's what he said. He got right in my own ear, all he did. My head's still throbbing now. Your voice is just so good. Thanks. I'm trying. The way the detective behaved was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc. Well, bless my wig, he hid it. You. But I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence. It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at liberty to do that. Why ever not? As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush. Hush-hush, a top-secret assignment, is it? As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if that information were to be revealed at court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector? I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness. Ah, does this mean? You only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him, to slip the second disc into his pocket. So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon. Are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of this alleged deal? Admit to it? Yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. Clearly our Eastern visitor has uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector. But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony, and that I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. All of this is young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of that is about. Ew, what? Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? You admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc. Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interests of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. Okay, yeah, for him, because he was trying to, like, figure out the secrets, so he's basically, like, FBIing and stuff. So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions.
This is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in a concluding of a trial. Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as a fellow servant of Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector.
Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me.
Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon is a highly skilled operator, stop. Currently in presence of idol, stop.
Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say.
I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. If they declare their decision now... Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to produce some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank, or stole government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I imposed on the jurors to declare their final decision, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court.
If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gino will be found guilty. So there's no choice then, Runo. I have to throw out some more evidence at them.
This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who do I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, what evidence do I present? Man, this finale is making me think so hard. Strange Fact only appears to play at 1. What evidence do we present? I mean, I think the thing is we don't have it yet because we need to look at the second disc, right? Okay, hold on. So either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets. Or some evidence to force Gregson admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Okay. What would make them say that he struck a deal? This is a conundrum. I don't know. This is tough. I'm also like running out of brain juice because you have so many intense moments here.